We're going to start today just finding your comfortable seated position. You're very welcome to have the legs crossed, or if you prefer, you can have your legs out in front of you. You can even sit on a pillow or on a block if you have a block available. Let's inhale and lift the spine up nice and tall, softening the shoulders down away from the ears, and gently closing your eyes. Spending the first few moments of the practice connecting into the sensations that you're physically feeling. Noticing any areas of tightness or tension. And then sending the breath to those spaces. Sending little neurological pathways down to those tight areas, allowing the fascia to soften. And that in turn will allow the muscles to relax. And then bringing awareness to what you're feeling mentally and emotionally. And if there's areas of anxiety or stress, again breathing into those spaces. And imagining that they're starting to melt and soften, letting go of the hard edges. Bringing awareness to your breath now. Long, slow inhale. Long, slow exhale. You can activate into your Ujjayi breath now by slightly constricting the epiglottis of the throat. Creating a soft sighing sound on both the inhale and the exhale. With every inhale breath, you're going to feel a little bit taller, a little more supported. Feeling as though you're creating space into the compressed areas of the body. And with every exhale, feel as though you are grounding and rooting into the earth. Just softening and melting tension away. So you're left with this dual feeling of both activation and release. Of awareness and calm. And then as you exhale, you're going to lower your chin down to your chest, letting the back of the head drop down, feeling really heavy. Keep the shoulders lifting back and away from the ears. On the inhale, come back to center, and then exhale, turn the gaze over your right shoulder. Keep lifting the heart. Inhale to center, gazing over the left shoulder. And then coming back to center, bringing right ear to right shoulder. And then lightly placing the right hand onto the side of the skull. so that you're creating natural weight to help pull the head down. You're not pulling the head with the hand, it's just an activation of the weight. Extend the left hand out to the side, just floating off the mat. And then reach those fingertips down, pulling the shoulders slightly away from the ear. Taking that hand now behind the back, hooking into the corner of the waist. And feel the depth of the stretch across the neck, into the upper traps. Drop the shoulder a little bit more and open up the heart at the same time. Release the hands down to the knee as you bring your head to center. And then lowering down to the left side. Bringing the left hand lightly onto the side of the skull and creating traction. Floating the opposite arm out to the side, just off the mat, so that you're able to extend the fingers down towards the floor. And then bend the elbow coming behind. And keep pushing the shoulder blades together as you open up through the chest without lifting the rib cage. So we're opening the chest and not hyperextending into the upper back. And then gently releasing the hands as you bring the head back to center. When it comes to lie down on the mat now, you can either extend the legs or bend the knees, and slowly coming down onto the floor through a core roll. If you have lower back issues, just lie straight down without rolling. Coming all the way down and bending into the knees. Keep the feet hip distance parallel and the hands lightly next to the hips. You're going to move through a few dynamic hip rolls. So on the inhale breath, you curl the tailbone up to the sky, lifting the spine off one vertebrae at a time. And then as you exhale, you undulate the spine in the opposite direction, coming back down to the earth. Thinking of the spine as though it were a string of beads, and each vertebrae is going to lift off before the next one in the line. Being very mindful what's happening with your lower back. If you have lower back issues, make sure that you're really, really rounding into the lumbar spine as you bring the hips back to the mat. Followed by the sacrum, followed by the coccyx. And then lifting up from the coccyx, sacrum, and then into the lumbar vertebrae. And each time getting a little bit higher, starting to push the shoulder blades firmly into the mat. On the next lift, you're going to hold up. And then walk the shoulder blades a little bit closer underneath the back body. Plant your hands flat and really lift those hips up towards the sky. Squeeze through the inner thighs, engaging into the back of the hamstrings and the quads. Lift the glutes to feel the hips lift a bit higher. And then keep the shoulders pressing down into the mat, really opening through the heart. Slide the shoulder blades apart, and then slowly coming back down again, undulating into the spine, lower back, sacrum, and then coccyx to come down. Draw the knees into the chest, and a little gentle roll from side to side. Bringing the right foot onto the left knee in figure of 4. You're going to hold behind the thigh. So even if you can go deeper, don't go deeper at the moment. Let's just use this as a warm-up. And we're going to make hip circles, circles with your hips. So you kind of roll a little bit from side to side, and you focus the sensation into the lower back. So the knee pushes slightly away, and then it draws slightly in, rolling in a circular direction. And then change the direction of the circle other way around. Feeling a bit of an activation into the hip, the glute, and the upper thigh. And then come to the center, maintaining your figure of 4. Straighten your left leg up to the sky. Kick the heel up and then roll the ankle a few times. Make sure the lower back is still released against the mat. And then gently releasing from there, switching to the other side. And making small circles with the back. Change the direction of the circle other way around. Just take a moment to notice the differences between the two sides. Let's come back to the center and then extend the leg up towards the sky, flexing into the foot and then rolling the ankle. Change the direction of the roll. And then coming back to center and releasing down. Take both knees into the chest. Opening the arms into a T shape on your inhale. And then exhale to drop the knees to one side. Take one round of breath. Nice deep exhale to relax into the twist. And then inhale back to the center and exhale to the other side. One round of breath here, nice deep exhale to relax into the twist. And then inhale into the center. Bring the knees now into a tabletop. So the knees are over the hips and the shins are parallel to the floor. Light activation of the lower belly. And again, we're going to drop the knees over to the side, but this time don't touch the floor with the legs. Float the knees off the mat and feel how you've got to work into that lower back area, into the QLs and the lats. Let's inhale to the center and then floating it off the floor on the other side. You can intensify this by squeezing the inner thighs to touch. Inhale back to the center. Take the legs straight up to the sky now. So you're in a 90 degree. Heels over the hips. And again, we're going to come over to one side. Drop the legs to the floor. So you're in a passive twist. And use your exhale to soften the opposite shoulder down. Engage the core muscles to lift the legs back up to center. Dropping them over to the other side. And we're in the passive twist, so legs drop as far as you can. Soften the body. Even if the shoulder lifts slightly, that's okay, but relax it back down. Coming back up to center. And now working into the core variation. So come down to the first side again, but don't touch the floor. Keep the shoulder on the mat. Feel like you've got to work into those core muscles. Breathe. Let's come back up to center and then floating on the other side. And again, shoulder on the floor. Float the foot. Breathe into the space. Let's inhale back up to center and then take the knees into the chest. You're going to make your way to sitting now. So if your lower back is uncomfortable, come straight to sit. If you feel okay to rock, you're going to rock up and down along your spine. Massaging out the back. And then coming all the way back up to sit. Coming over onto hands and knees. Roll over the shins. And stepping into your tabletop. Engage into the lower belly. On the inhale breath, extending right arm and left leg. Reach the head forward, reach the toes back. You can choose to keep the fingers and toes on the floor, or you can float the leg up, the arm up. Coming into spinal balance. Square the hips, square the shoulders, and then kick through the appendages, reaching forward. On the inhale breath, you can hold onto the foot behind you, coming into the bind if that feels good. Otherwise, stay in the spinal stretch. On the inhale, extend the arm and the leg, and then exhale to release back down to tabletop. Taking it to the other side, left arm, right leg, planting on the floor for a moment, lift into the lower belly, and then use the belly muscles to lift the arm and the leg. Get really light in your supporting hand and knee. Stay as you are, or come into the tiger bind, lifting the chest, lifting the leg if you're in the bind. And then inhale, extend into the balance, and exhale to release. Let's tuck the toes under, bring the hands one space forward. Lift your hips up and back, and then start to straighten the legs from there. Heel toe the feet a few times. You can gently turn your head from one side to the other underneath the arms. Lifting those hips up and back. Really working into the upper back, across the back of the shoulders. And then walk your hands towards your toes. Hanging into ragdoll, holding onto opposite elbows. Or you can just let the head drop and then arms drop, whatever feels better. Gently sway from one side to the other. So here you straighten one knee, and then you lean towards the bent leg. And then over to the other side, as though you were on skis, skiing from right side to left side. Really relax into the head, the neck, the shoulders. Come back to center, drop your arms. Tuck chin to chest as you roll yourself up. Feel as though you're being pulled up by the shoulders, and that the lower back is not taking any strain as you lift. At the top of the breath, is inhale the arms overhead. Holding lightly to the left wrist, you're going to lean yourself to the right. And then just gently pull into that left wrist. Push the hip over a bit deeper. Inhale back to center, and then over to the other side. Inhale back to center. Release the hands down, drop the chin to the chest, and roll yourself down to the mat. Feel as though you're leading from the head. Knees are bent as you roll. Completely relaxed as you come down. Hands come to the mat, and then you're going to walk yourself forward into plank pose. If you need to drop your knees down, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to hold the plank pose and engage into the lower belly. From here, you're going to curl your tailbone in as you lower the knees to the mat. Bring the hands one space back underneath the shoulders. Inhale, cow pose. Drop the belly down, lifting the face and hips. Exhale, cat pose, tucking the chin to the chest. Stay in cat. Make sure your toes are pointing, and then you lift your knees off the floor so you're on the top of the feet. Lower the knees back down. Coming into downward facing dog, lifting the hips up and back. Looking between the hands, this time walk yourself forward to the front of your mat into flat back. Feet hip distance parallel. Hands to the shin bones, reach your head forward and slide the shoulder blades back away from the ears. Tilt the weight a bit forward on the front of your feet, light on the heels. Active forward fold by holding the back of the ankles and gently pulling your head towards the earth. Knees can be bent or straight. Flick the tailbone up to the sky. And then actively engage the core as we lift to standing. You can join the palms together, working the tummy muscles, lifting all the way up. Bring the hands together at the heart center, gazing forward, and then lifting up onto the tips of the toes. Press big toe and baby toe down evenly. Lift your heels a bit taller. Exhale to bring the heels down, and then standing into Tadasana at the front of your mat. Hands next to the hips. Close the eyes just for a moment and find your Ujjayi breath. Find your bandhas. Opening the eyes as you inhale the arms overhead. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, lifting halfway up into flat back. And then exhale, stepping the right leg into lunge. Sink your hips low as you lift your chest high. And then exhale the back knee down to the mat, inhaling the arms up to the sky. Coming into eagle arms, bringing your right elbow underneath the left. Lift the elbows, push the forearms away and draw the shoulder blades back down. Make space in the neck by feeling the crown of the head lift up. On the inhale, open the arms back up and then exhale the hands down to the mat. Lifting the back knee off the floor and then stepping into plank. Hands under the shoulders. You can choose to drop the knees down if that's more appropriate for you, otherwise float the body in your plank. Strong legs, strong core, and really lighten to the arms. You need to curl the tailbone as you bring the knees to the floor. Bring the hands one space back under the shoulders, point the toes. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Stay in cat. Lift the knees off the floor. Exhale the knees back down. Downward facing dog. Staying in your down dog, float the right leg to the sky. And then lift onto your standing toes, making space. You're going to pendulum swing that leg between the fingers, coming back into the lunge. Opening up through the heart. Keep the left hand to the floor and float the right arm to the sky. Reach the head forward, the tailbone back, and then lift that top arm a little bit higher. Let's exhale to lower the hand to the mat, and then stepping forward into flat back. Float the chest open here, hands to the shins. Exhale to forward fold. You can lightly hold the back of the ankles or place the hands to the mat. On your inhale breath, engage the body, lifting up tall. Bringing the hands together at the heart. Inhale up onto the tips of the toes. Lifting as high as you can. Start to bend your knees just slightly. Lift the heels, soften the hips down, and then forward fold by dropping the heels, dropping the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, and stepping the left leg back into lunge. Sink your hips low, lift your chest high. Really light onto the fingertips. Drop the back knee down to the mat and then sweeping arms to the sky. Find space into the lumbar, space into the upper thoracic. Coming into the Garandasana arms, left elbow underneath right. Lift your elbows, push your forearms away, and then soften the shoulder blades back down. Going to inhale, open the arms up, and then exhale the hands to the mat. Stepping back into downward facing dog. Inhale, taking the left leg to the sky. And then step the foot forward, swinging it between the hands into lunge. Sink the hips low, lift the chest high. Keeping the right hand down and taking the left arm up. Rotate the core around the center line. Reach the head forward, reach the tailbone back. And then lift that top arm all the way up, creating lightness into the supporting hand. Bring both hands to the floor, and we're going to inhale forward into flat back. Lift open through the chest, light onto the front of the feet, and then exhale to forward fold. This time bending the knees into Utkatasana chair pose. And then bringing the hands together at the heart center. Staying in the chair. Start to lift the heels off the mat. Soften the shoulders, soften the neck. And then forward fold by dropping the heels, dropping the hands. Inhale to lift halfway up. Now we're going to float your right heel to your right hip. And then slowly kick that leg back, shifting your weight into a warrior one pose. Back heel lands on the floor and the arms lift up. Square the hips. Remember, you can bring your hands together at the heart center if you have shoulder issues. On the inhale, coming back into Garandasana arms, right elbow underneath left. And then lift the chest, lift the heart. Leaning slightly back here. Really anchor through the back heel. And then you're going to forward fold to the inside of the thighs. Push your right hip a little bit forward and allow the body to drop to the inside of that front leg. Release both hands to the floor, keeping the right hand on the mat and inhaling the left arm to the sky. So you're twisting towards your inner thigh. Draw the rib cage in towards the front thigh, so you're not leaning away from the midline, but rather leaning into the midline to lengthen the left side of the torso. You need to bring both hands down and step yourself into plank pose. And again, you're very welcome to drop the back knees down and hold into a tabletop instead. Breathe into the plank if you're holding it. Firm the core if you're in your tabletop. Let's lower the knees, curl the tailbone, slowly dropping down, point the toes, hands under the shoulders. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. Stay in cat, lift the knees off. And then exhale the knees back down. Downward facing dog. On your inhale breath, taking the right leg to the sky. And then stepping the foot forward into lunge. Open up through the heart center. Start to walk your fingers a little bit further forward so that you've now got some momentum to draw the back knee up to the chest, standing all the way up. Flex into that front foot and make your body as tall as you can. The arms are basically just supporting that front knee. You're not holding the knee up. The core, the bandhas are holding that leg up on its own. Let's take the elbows into cactus. And now twist towards your inner thigh, coming to dancing Shiva. Work the core. Breathe into the space. Come back to the center. Release the hands at the heart as you place the foot to the mat. Breath in and out. Let's inhale, chair pose. You can draw the hands together at the heart center. You can keep the heels down, or you can lift the heels up. You may want to work into the triceps now by reaching the hands behind you. And you lift the pinkies up behind, engaging into the back of the arms. Moving into forward fold, heels down, hands down. Relax the neck. Lift the chest up. And now you're going to float your left heel to your glute. And then slowly stepping that foot back, landing into warrior one. So the back heel comes to the mat, and then floating the arms to the sky. Checking your alignment here. You want the back heel on the floor. You want the feet open wide enough that you can rotate your hips forward. Hands can come to the heart if the shoulders are taking strain. Coming into Garandasana arms, bringing left elbow underneath right. Lift the elbows, push the forearms away, and then soften the shoulders down away from the ears. So there is a back bend happening here. Try to move it into the upper body and away from the lower back. Coming into humble warrior by folding forward. Square the hips, left hip forward, right hip back. And then soften the torso down. Feel as though there's a bit of traction and weight pulling over the back fascia. Let's release the hands down to the mat. And then inhale, taking the right arm to the sky. The back heel you can lift up into a lunge position if that's more appropriate for you. Bringing both hands down to the mat and stepping into downward facing dog. Taking a deep breath in and out. Floating the left leg to the sky. And then pendulum the foot in between the hands into lunge. Breathing into the space. And then inhale to start to walk the hands a little bit further forward, using the weight of the arms to slowly lift that back knee up to the chest, standing tall. Press the standing foot down below the surface of the mat. And then lift up a bit taller. Flex that raised foot, using the bandhas to hold the weight. Let's bring the arms into cactus. And then rotate into your dancing Shiva by turning to the inside of the inner thigh. Let's inhale to the center, hands to the heart, as you lower the foot back down to the mat. Standing into Tadasana. Taking a deep breath in and out. Bending knees, Utkatasana. Sitting nice and low into the heels. You're going to shift into Garandasana now, pressing the weight into your right foot. Lift your left knee up to your chest. And then cross the foot, hook the toes, bringing the arms out. You're going to bring the opposite elbow, so the right elbow comes under, into Garandasana arms. If balance is not your friend today, keep your raised foot on the floor as well. You can just bring those toes lightly to the mat. You can also lean against a wall. And then sitting as low as you can comfortably into the space. Garandasana arms are amazing for releasing stress into the neck and into the traps. So make sure you relax that space there. Take the tension out of the neck, out of the shoulders. From here, let's take it back into chair pose. So keep the knees bent, feet to the floor, arms up. Stand up into Tadasana. Hands either at the hips or at the heart. Let's take a moment to breathe. You'll feel how the heart rate actually increases with the arms overhead like that. That's putting a gentle strain into the cardiovascular system. Let's take it back into chair pose, so bending as you sweep the arms up, and then shifting over to the other side. Bringing the opposite arm under. So if you're standing on your left leg, it's the left arm that comes under. If you're standing on your right leg, it's the right arm that comes under. And again, breathe into the shoulders. Breathe into the neck. Let's unwrap back into the Utkatasana. Keep the knees bent for now. Sweep those arms up. And then forward fold. Heel toe the feet open a bit. Toes slightly out. And then flop. Bend your knees. Let your arms drop. You may want to hold on to opposite elbows. If the fingers are touching the floor, sometimes lifting the hands off the mat will give you better traction. Really relax, release, let go. Drop the hands down. Heel toe the feet even wider now. So quite wide. Toes can even come to the floor with the heels on the mat and sitting down into your malasana. So for some of you, the heels will be off the floor, that's absolutely fine. For others, the heels will make it down. You can choose to have the hands on the floor in front of you or at the heart center with the elbows pressing the inner thighs. So wherever you are with your malasana, just breathe into the space that you've got. Try not to compress the body, but find the lightness, find the space. Make what modifications you need to make that happen. And I'm going to reach those arms out in front of you and fold down to the floor. Relax your head, your neck, your shoulders. Almost flop into this position, still keeping the knees wide. And then inhale to lift yourself back up. Reach the hands forward. Come to sit down on the mat. Try not to bring the hands down as you do. So you curl the tailbone in. And you sit down. I find that really hard to do. And you're going to just rock the hips from side to side. So you kind of sit on the sitting bones and not on the sacrum. Moving into Navasana now. So the feet are hip distance wide. You can lightly hold the back of the thighs and then actively lift up through the lower back. Make sure your chin is still in a neutral space. You're not lifting the back of the neck. And you're going to simply lean back from here. Lift into the lower belly and then lengthen into the lumbar. You can stay here or you can float the arms off the legs. Keep the chest open, keep the back lengthening. So don't round into the sacrum at any point. Make sure the neck is in neutral space. You're going to inhale back up to the center, cross your legs so that the right leg is in front of the left. Hands come next to the hips. And then for most of us, we're going to have to come up onto the fingers. So taking the heel of the hands off, and then lift your hips off the mat. So you're protracting the shoulders away from the ears, and then you're lifting into the core muscles to float off the floor. And gently to lower down. Let's take it into a second round of Navasana. So again, open up through the sitting bones. Make sure you're on the bones of the bum. Lift up nice and tall, and hold the back of the legs, and gently lean back. Should you like to go a bit deeper this time, you can float the legs off the floor so the shins are parallel to the mat. And then you lift open the heart, lengthen into the lower back. Breathing deeply into the space. And then coming back to sit, this time bring the left leg in front of the right. Hands next to the hips again. And now we're lifting the spine straight up. So not forward, but straight up. Getting deep protraction into these shoulders. Working into the traps and allowing the neck to lengthen. Coming back to sit. One more round. Taking it into the last Navasana. So sitting up onto the tips of the ischial tuberosities, leaning slightly back. You can hold the thighs, you can float the legs off the mat, or you can come into the full balance by reaching the hands forward. Lift into the tummy, lift into the back, and make sure you can breathe here. From here, we're going to take it down into a low boat pose. So you're now going to extend your legs, coming onto the lower back. One more breath, and then release all the way down. Bend your knees into your chest. And a little gentle roll from side to side. Bringing the left foot onto the floor and taking the right leg to the sky. You're going to keep your lower back flat to the mat, holding the back of the right thigh. If you've got a bit more space, you can hold onto the back of the right calf. If you still have space, you can hold onto the back of the right ankle. And if you still have space, you can hook around your big toe in a yogic toe lock. Make sure the lower back is still pressing down flat into the mat. Just simply hold here into this hamstring stretch, getting the knee a little bit straighter, or maybe bringing the foot a bit closer to the face. You have the option of staying exactly here, or you can now straighten the left leg onto the floor. You have the option of now bringing the left hand onto the left thigh and then lifting your head up towards your knee as you reach your left fingers towards your left toes. Breathing into the space. Gently releasing yourself down. You're now going to bring the left hand in line with the ear, so it's reaching over the back of the body in line with the ear. Roll onto your left side. You may need to slightly bend that bottom leg. So the right leg is still up to the sky. We're now opening to the side. Keep lifting that leg up, and then extend the heel a bit closer towards the face. Breathe into this place. You have the option of staying exactly as you are, Or you're going to now press into that left palm, helping to lift the chest off the floor slightly towards your upper leg. Working into a bit of balance here, a bit of core activation. And then gently releasing down. Bend your knee into your chest and then bring the knee in front of your chest. So the right knee is in front of the chest. Take the right arm away and open the arms into a T shape. So you have a nice deep twist. Breathe into this twist. Use the exhale breath to soften and surrender. Feeling how the upper chest into the pectorals and the deltoid of the right side is really getting a lovely stretch here. And then you're going to draw both knees to the chest, lying onto your back. And just hold your knees to your chest for a moment, finding neutrality into the lumbar spine. Support and release into the hips. Let's bring the right foot onto the floor and take the left leg to the sky. So start off by holding behind the thigh. If you've got a bit more space, you can hold behind the calf. If you've still got more space, come to the ankle. And if you still have space, interlocking the two middle fingers and thumb around the big toe into yogic toe lock. Press the lower back flat, lift through the knee, maybe draw the leg a bit closer to the face as well. You have the option of staying here, or you can straighten the right leg. You have the option of staying there, or you can slide the right hand towards the right toes as you lift your head up towards your upper shin. Gently releasing back down, taking the right arm over the ear behind you, and now you're going to come over onto your side, keeping that leg facing up towards the sky. You can bend your bottom knee for extra balance, or you can really kick into that bottom leg, straightening out for extra stretch into those adductor muscles. You can stay as you are, or you can press into the right palm and start to lift your upper body off the mat. Getting a stretch into the QLs and lats of the lower part of the body, and then engaging into the balance. Slowly releasing from there. Bend your top knee into your chest, and then bring the knee to the floor in front of your chest. You're going to open the arms in a T shape into the twist. And hold here for a few breaths, really trying to release and relax the body. And then drawing both knees into your chest. Little gentle roll into the lower back. You're going to come to sit up from here. So again, you can just roll it to the side or come to sit straight up. If you can rock the back without causing any tension and pain, you're going to rock a few times. Massaging out the spine, using the breath, very lightly coming all the way up to sit, rolling over the shins, stepping back into plank. And hold the plank. You're very welcome to keep the knees down and activate into the core from a tabletop instead. From here, we're going to come all the way down onto the mat. So you can either chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, all the way down onto the mat. pointing the toes and bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders. So we're in our Sphinx pose. You've got to lift the chest up to get the elbows under the shoulders. Middle fingers are parallel and the fingers are spread quite wide here. Activate into those forearms by dragging them towards you and puffing open through the chest. Really try to engage into the upper body, the upper back. The lower back shouldn't be taking any strain. You can point the toes behind you and then press the pubic bone into the floor to try and lengthen into that lumbar vertebrae. Take one more deep breath and then slowly release yourself down, bringing the hands to stack one on top of the other. Relax the lower back, relax the glutes, and actively breathe into these spaces. And take it into a second round of your Sphinx pose. So lifting onto the elbows again. Getting that elbow placement correct is important because that's going to help to open up the chest and engage into the rotator cuffs to draw those rotator cuffs back. Make sure the neck is in a neutral space, so don't lift the chin too high, compressing the back of the neck. Feel as though you're lifting from the back of the skull. If your lower back is comfortable, you can lift the elbows off the floor into a seal pose. Make sure those elbows are still soft, and then you turn the soft part of the elbow to face forward. Reach the toes back, push the pubic bone into the mat. Make sure there's no pain in the lower spine here. And then slowly releasing back down. Shifting into child's pose, hands under the shoulders, and then sliding back into child's pose. And you can choose to have the knees together or the knees wide. Arms can come forward, under the forehead, or next to the hips. We're using this as a restorative space to find the best alignment to suit what your body needs. Gently relax into the lower back. Relax into the upper back. And then rounding the spine to sit back up. Swing your legs out in front of you. You're going to make your way to lie down on the back again, so you can repeat the core roll, or you can just come straight down to lie on the back. And then finishing off in a very similar way that we began, in the figure of 4. So bringing your right heel to your left upper thigh, holding onto the back of your left thigh. If you found that the body's opened enough now for you to hold onto the shin bone, then you can do that. If the hips are still too tight, then just keep holding the back of the thigh. And again, little circles here. Change the direction of the circle. And then switching the legs around, bringing the left heel to the right knee. You can hold the back of the right thigh or a little bit further onto the right shin. And little circles. Change the direction of the circle. And then draw both knees into the chest. Releasing into Shavasana, bringing the feet as open as your mat. Bringing the hands next to the hips with the palms facing up. Slightly draw the shoulder blades together, slightly tuck the chin to the chest. Closing your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Hold that breath in. Feel the fire, the burning in the chest. And then softly and slowly release it through the mouth. With eyes closed, visualizing that you're lying on a beach. And the temperature is just right. Not too hot, not too cold. Just that Goldilocks perfect temperature. Feeling the gentle warmth on your skin and feeling how that is releasing and relaxing the tension that you feel physically, mentally. Hearing the sound of the waves in the distance. And you notice how the waves come closer and closer in with each round. And as you inhale, you feel the waves reach the feet, relaxing your feet, and then they wash away. On the next inhale, the waves come in up to the knees, relaxing the lower legs, and then gently washing away. Feeling the waves come up to the knees, then the hips, relaxing the whole legs, and washing away. The next wave comes up past the knees, past the hips, and up to the shoulders. Relaxing the arms, the back, the hips, the thighs, the knees, the feet. The next wave comes up all the way around the back of the skull, relaxing your head, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your back, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your feet. Completely relaxing the whole body. So that you feel as though you're surrendering into the mat, into a place of complete relaxation. Slowly start to deepen and lengthen your breath. Feeling your belly rise and fall. Gently running your thumb over the tips of your fingers. Moving your toes, your ankles and your wrists. Coming into a full body stretch, reaching the arms overhead, drawing the feet together as you point down, yawning or sighing in the full body stretch. Bending your knees. And then rolling onto your right side. Lying in your fetal position.
feeling completely calm, supported and at ease. Keeping your eyes closed as you lift yourself into a seated space. You can have the legs crossed, lifting in front of you, or sitting onto a pillow. Drawing your hands together at your heart center in Anjali Mudra. We'll close the class by chanting Om once and Shanti 3 times. Taking a deep breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Raising your hands to your third eye. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Lowering your hands to your lips, to your heart, to your mat. Bowing in recognition of your practice. Blinking eyes open. Inhaling to lift. Namaste.